Hi everyone. This is what happened to me when I got government housing part 115. Now, I'm just finishing up with this story because we're going to move on to another series, and I also wanted to make a video about what it's like to try to go through the justice system on your own and how social media has helped me to achieve some sort of justice after what happened to me. So on the 14th of the 7th, 2018, I found out that someone had been using my address to claim welfare. In Australia, welfare payments are administered by Centrelink, and people on welfare must be registered with a job agency. I received letters from Centrelink and a job agency in someone else's name, and I was furious. I was also scared of getting in trouble with Centrelink, given that I was already receiving welfare and I was in government housing. I couldn't believe that someone thought that they could get away with doing this, but the truth is that some people who live at this block and people who visit the block have used my address for various reasons over the years. Excuse me. There have been other residents having their mail sent to my address. Uber Eats drivers have turned up to my door saying that they have food when I haven't ordered anything, and other incidents like that. I've also had taxi drivers knock on my door claiming that I've ordered a taxi when I haven't. So, getting back to these letters that I received, normally I would mark the letters returned to sender and put them in a letterbox, but this time I decided to report them and then send the letters back. Then on the 1st of the 8th, 2018, I received a letter of response from the State Minister for Police regarding a complaint that I had sent to them about issues that I was having with the police. I believe I sent this letter about 8 months prior to receiving a response. As usual, the letter was unhelpful and simply referred me to Police Command, which is where I would normally send my complaints. So effectively, there was no benefit for me to contact the Minister for Police, although I felt like I had to because I seemed to be in an endless cycle of incidents and complaints against Victoria Police, and I was already sending my complaints to Police Command. By the 9th of the 8th, 2018, I realised that I'd had a cold for over 5 weeks, and although it seems pretty horrible now, at the time it felt normal for me to be so sick for so long. Then on the 16th of the 8th, 2018, I received a reply from the federal minister that I had written to about people using my address to claim welfare. And as usual, my report had been passed on. The welfare payments in Australia are administered by the federal government. However, the response I received claims that VCAT administers these matters, which I found very strange. But I had to accept what I was told, and I didn't know how to find out why a federal government payment would be administered by a tribunal in Victoria. As you can see in this letter, my report was referred on to VCAT, and I never received any correspondence from them about how they stopped the person from using my address to claim welfare. And of course, I didn't receive any reassurance from them that I was safe from this sort of thing happening in the future, which is what I really wanted. On the 20th of the 8th, 2018, I started to send out tweets on Twitter about what happened to me. I was hoping someone from overseas would offer to represent me or give me legal advice or help me in some way. I had a pinned tweet on my Twitter profile for 12 months, trying to get the attention of a lawyer or a journalist or someone who could help me. But for some strange reason, no one from the media ever contacted me apart from one person who said their name was Costa Haritos. I never found out if that was a real person or if that was just a scam. They said that they could do a story on me, and when I asked them for a PO box so I could post a USB stick to them with my story on it, they disappeared and they stopped contacting me. And that was the only person who ever contacted me in the whole time that I had my message on Twitter asking for help. So now we're in 2024 and I'm telling my story on YouTube. So I basically got to a point where I decided that I wouldn't wait for a journalist to tell my story because thanks to social media, I'm able to tell you all my story myself. But before I finish this part of the series, I wanted to let you know that the respondent was still stalking me. I had seen him on trams that I was on a few occasions, and there was another incident on the 29th of the 9th, 2018 at my local Aldi store where he approached me and I couldn't believe that he was still carrying on with that shit. It was at around 2:30 p.m. and although he was the one who approached me, I was the one who had to walk away, then hide, then wait until he was out of sight before I could leave the store. It was bullshit and it was never ending, but it kept happening and it always shocked and disgusted me. To this day, I have no idea why the respondent had an interest in me, and I have no idea what he got out of stalking me. He had been convinced by the people who worked in the justice system that he was free to do anything that he wanted to me, and I was convinced that I was powerless to stop him. In some ways, I believed that that was the goal of the police. It seemed to me that they wanted to get me to a point where I accepted what the respondent was doing and stopped calling them about it. And that's exactly what I did. The police called me a nuisance because I reported assaults and stalking and property damage. So I can only conclude that I am supposed to accept those things without complaint. When I have spoken to some people about what happened to me, they have theorized that the goal was to normalize the respondent's behavior. That is, to normalize assaults against me. This may be true for all I know, but the way I saw it, the failure of the police to assist me was just another way that the police and other people working in the justice system expressed their social snobbery. As I have said before, I believe that I would have been treated differently if I was middle or upper class. And I'm basing that on my own experience and by how I've seen other people treated when they have reported crimes. So I wanted to finish up with what happened to me when I got government housing for now, although I'll probably add to this series at a later date. In the next video, I'll be talking about using social media to achieve justice, and I'll be starting a new series soon, and that will be called Don't Come to Melbourne. And that series will continue to expose some of the things that have been happening to me, as well as going into my reflections on life in Melbourne. I once saw a quote on Twitter which was attributed to Julian Assange, which stated, "One of the best ways to achieve justice is to expose injustice." And I agree. And that will be the sort of thing that I will be exploring in my new series, Don't Come to Melbourne.